Good evening. Our top stories tonight, the Atlanta Falcons. What are they like heading into 2023? They've got tons of money to spend, but what do they spend it on? And who's their quarterback? Is Desmond Ridder the guy going into 2023? Ownership has expressed confidence in Desmond Ridder, but what does that mean? They like his leadership. What exactly does that mean? Nothing on the grand scheme of things. It means that the Falcons are still in on Lamar Jackson, but if not, they might have to settle for Desmond Ridder. This quarterback market is scary. And maybe they take a shot in the draft. Maybe they bring in some veteran like Baker Mayfield. But for the Atlanta Falcons, this offseason is all about Lamar Jackson. And so the Falcons have $56.5 million in cap space this season, which is second in the NFL behind only the Chicago Bears. And they're going to have even more when it's all said and done because Marcus Mariota is not going to be on this roster. $12 million freed up by cutting Marcus Mariota, and he won't be there. Mariota was brought in as a bridge quarterback to Desmond Ridder or whoever else it could be, and he did not play well. He did not play well at all. The only reason Marcus Mariota stayed as the starter for as long as he did is because they were winning. And Arthur Smith didn't want to mess with a good thing, but Marcus Mariota was not the good thing. The run game was the good thing. The defense played surprisingly well until it got just ravaged later through the injuries. But Marcus Mariota is not going to be part of the Falcons. And we know this especially because after Marcus Mariota was benched for Desmond Ridder, he went and had surgery that was not approved by the team. Oh no. How dare Marcus Mariota, rather than sit around and be the backup for a flailing team that's not going to make the playoffs? How dare he not stick around as the backup and instead get surgery that he was going to have to get one way or another? How dare he? It's ridiculous how everyone was acting like Marcus Mariota quit on his team. No, Marcus Mariota is prioritizing himself and getting ready for free agency because he knows the team's not going to be loyal to him. He had his chance. They benched him, and he knows that. So why delay surgery if you're not going to be playing? Because any delays in surgery means there's a chance you're less healthy for free agency. And if you're not healthy for free agency, then the money starts to get affected. And you don't mess with people's money. So I do not blame Marcus Mariota for walking out, but his leaving the Atlanta Falcons will free up $12 million. They can free up an extra $5 million by cutting Casey Hayward if they choose to. I don't know if they will, though, because Casey Hayward, still very effective when he was healthy, just didn't play most of the season with injury. Can save $2.7 million by cutting backup offensive lineman Matt Hennessy, but he was a starter the year before and started some games this year at left guard when Elijah Wilkinson went down. And then they can save $1.75 million by cutting Cordero Patterson. So that's not going to happen. Matt Hennessy move seems unlikely. $2.7 million for a backup offensive lineman is nothing. $5 million for a starting corner, that's also nothing, especially when you've already got $56 million in cap. Moves up to $68 million in cap space by releasing Marcus Mariota. And I've seen Marcus Mariota's release termed as a cap move or a cap cut, cap casualty. No, this is not a cap casualty. This is just a case of you're not worth the salary we paid you. We thought you were going to be our starter. You're not. You're just not worth it. This is not a cap casualty. The Falcons don't need the cap space. So they'll have $68.5 million, still not close to the Bears, who have over $90 million, but they have a hell of a lot more than the third team, which is the Giants, with $47 million. About $20 million difference, $21 million to be exact. And so what'll they do with all that money? What are the Falcons saving for? I have said time and again that I think they're saving for Lamar Jackson. They went all in on Deshaun Watson. They were willing to take the risk of pissing off Matt Ryan, which they did. They were willing to go all in on a quarterback with far greater question marks than Lamar Jackson has in Deshaun Watson. So we're supposed to just pretend that they're not going to be all in on this Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, or that the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes isn't even happening. Because a couple days ago during the Super Bowl week, we heard it reported that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were $100 million off. Now, is that total money? Is that in guaranteed money? We don't know what that actually means, but the point remains, they are not close. And who in the NFC has the means to capitalize on a Lamar Jackson trade? Sure, the Giants, you could throw them in there with $47 million, but the Falcons have even more money to pay Lamar Jackson. And the Bears aren't going to pay Lamar Jackson. They don't need him. They've got Justin Fields. Why pay Lamar Jackson now when you get the couple of years of the rookie quarterback Justin Fields and your roster isn't ready? So for the Falcons, they better be all in on Lamar. And if not, I really don't know what their option would be. I don't know what plan two is. It very well might be Desmond Ridder, and that would be okay. Because the Falcons, if you add a Lamar Jackson, a guy who can single-handedly carry your offense, then you are a playoff contender. But anything less than that, even an Aaron Rodgers, I'm not so sure. Because the defense is in transition. They need to continue to invest in there, and they will because they've got so much money to spend. The offensive line also needs adding to, some solidification. So other quarterbacks, especially the ones available, because if you throw Patrick Mahomes on the Falcons, yeah, of course they're a Super Bowl contender. They're a playoff contender. Joe Burrow, they're a playoff contender. Josh Allen, playoff contender. But any of the other options in free agency, you may as well just stick with Desmond Ridder and maybe bottom out, because trading up for a quarterback, Falcons are in a tricky spot. They really, really need to land Lamar Jackson, because otherwise you're just punting down the road a year on a team that's middle of the pack talents wide. So I don't know if you'll be picking that high. This is the problem with the Falcons. When they had the 4th overall pick and selected a tight end, this is exactly the problem. When you are high enough to pick one of these top flight quarterbacks, you do it. Because if the Falcons had Justin Fields, this would not be a problem. But now they need Lamar Jackson, or otherwise they're just going to spend another year of purgatory. They're going to be a middling team. They'll bring in Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. Can't see them landing Jimmy G or Derek Carr. So it's either all the way in on Lamar Jackson, much like the Raiders we were talking about yesterday. They're all the way in on Aaron Rodgers, and they have to be, because if not, what's the backup plan? I really don't know, because they pick 8th overall, and then they've got their 2nd round pick, their 3rd round pick, 2 4th round picks. They've got 110 and 113. They've got a 5th round pick from the Calvin Ridley trade, and then they've got 2 7th round picks and a 6th round pick. So they've got capital in the draft, but they've got needs as well. Quarterback, obviously. I don't think Desmond Ridder's it, but hey, whatever. They need a quarterback. They need Lamar Jackson. Running back, though, they're pretty set at running back. Avery Williams as their RB3. Maybe they add a scat back, but that's Cordell Patterson's role. He's the guy you get in open space. And you got Tyler Algier as the between the tackles grinder. They need a replacement for Caleb Huntley, who tore his Achilles, but they're pretty good at running back. It's the depth options they need there. At wide receiver, now, the Falcons, if they do land Lamar Jackson, they are still looking pretty good. They will have the best weapons that Lamar Jackson ever played with in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Yes, Drake London and Kyle Pitts are better than Mark Andrews in Hollywood. Mark Andrews better than Pitts, but Drake London better than Hollywood. So just want to establish that. But the Falcons need a slot wide receiver and a Z wide receiver, because Olamide Zaccheaus, he was starting in the slot. He was their wide receiver 2. He's a free agent. And wide receiver 3, Damiere Byrd at the Z position. He's a free agent. Tight end, they're fine. They got Kyle Pitts. Parker Hesse's supposed to be back. And at the offensive line, though, they need a left guard, because Elijah Wilkinson's a free agent, and they need a right tackle because Caleb McGarry's a free agent. So the Falcons, they've got some holes to fill. And on defense, too, they need a nose tackle. They could use an edge rusher because Lorenzo Carter's going to be on his way out, but they have been drafting replacements, so I think they might be okay there. At linebacker, they lose starter Rashawn Evans, but they've got 2 rotational players in Michael Walker, and Troy Anderson. They need a slot cornerback for sure. Well, not even for sure, because Isaiah Oliver's a free agent, but D. Alford stepped in there. Do they keep Casey Hayward? Do they cut him? And then they need a third safety. So what does that all add up to? They need another wide receiver, at least a third option at wide receiver. They need O-line. They need a right tackle, a left guard. Wide receiver, running back, not as big a deal. Tight end, not as big of a deal. And they need defensive playmakers. They need a nose tackle, someone to stuff the run. And they just need playmakers because this defense was solid at times, but at other times it was burnable. It was unspectacular. So get a slot cornerback, maybe continue to boost that edge rush, maybe get an upgrade at corner as well, opposite AJ Terrell. There are options here for the Falcons to be good, but let's take a breakdown. Let's look at the bigger picture of this Falcons offense and the defense for you here today. Because like I said, picture this team with Lamar Jackson and then picture it with Desmond Ridder. It's very different, isn't it? Because Lamar Jackson with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, even with Frank Darby and not that bad, but you get some veterans, you get some so-so talents, you've got a shot. But if your backup plan is Jacoby Brissett, even, who I love Jacoby Brissett, but if Jacoby Brissett's your backup plan, if he's the best you can do if you miss on Lamar Jackson, him and Desmond Ridder, this is an offense that is going to struggle once again. And what is going to happen with this passing game? Who's the alpha going to be? Because it's going to be someone. Someone's got to get more targets. There is no world where we see exactly Kyle Pitts and Drake London 1-for-1, shot for shot, target for target. No, it's going to be Drake London as the alpha for this Falcons game, or this Falcons passing game. Drake London will be the leader, and that's okay because Kyle Pitts is still a tight end. How often is the tight end the number one option? Even Travis Kelce for years was not the number one option. It was Tyreek Hill. And that's okay. It's okay to be second fiddle to Drake London. The problem is this is a low volume offense with anyone but Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson will still be low volume, just the touchdown efficiency will spike, and that's what you'll be relying on. But if this is a Desmond Ridder-led offense, if this is a Sam Darnold, a Baker Mayfield, a Jameis Winston-led offense, Jameis could be fun. But if this is led by anyone but Lamar, Kyle Pitts is going to struggle. It's going to be all about Drake London, and I'll be completely out on Kyle Pitts. Hopefully they can fill in these offensive linemen. Maybe they tag Caleb McGarry, bring him back. Left guard won't be as big of a problem. Elijah Wilkinson, he's a veteran journeyman. But the defense, there's a lot of red here, a lot of free agents. Lorenzo Carter, as we mentioned, but second round pick, Arnold Ebiketie. Aid Ogundeji, he's kind of broken out as a part-time player. And then in the third round, they took D'Angelo Malone last year. So second round pick and third round pick last year used on edge rusher by the Falcons. Aid Ogundeji has broken out a little bit as well, though they should add more to it, and preferably they add an impact player on the level of Lorenzo Carter or greater, but they can get away with it. This is a problem. If you have Lamar Jackson, you want a star edge rusher because then you're going to be competitive. But if not, if you're just going to be a middling team with Desmond Ridder, just get away with Ebiketie, Ogundeji, and Malone and roll with it. See if they can develop. You'll be fine enough. You won't be the worst defense in the league unless you don't address the nose tackle position or your slot cornerback. But inside linebacker, I think they'll be fine. They don't need to re-sign Rashaan Evans or find a replacement. They can just have Walker and Anderson start, Landman be the backup. They could address it if they want to, but really, it's the edge rusher, which can be good enough. But if you really think that you're going all in and you could be a playoff team, has to be addressed. And then the slot cornerback here, Isaiah Oliver, absolutely must be addressed. Casey Hayward, got to make a decision there. If not, Darren Hall he's an up and down starter. He's so. Really, what it all boils down to is the Atlanta Falcons have to figure out what they want to be in 2023. Now, Arthur Smith, the head coach, he's going to be one of those guys. Arthur Smith is just a football guy. He's tough. He's never going to quit. You're never tanking. You're never giving up. You're always going all in. And I respect that. Absolutely, I do. But if they don't land Lamar Jackson in Atlanta, this is a team that better consider drafting a quarterback, because otherwise you're just in purgatory for another year. What, Marcus Mariota to Mitchell Trubisky, Marcus Mariota to Baker Mayfield, Marcus Mariota to Desmond Ritter. You are signing yourself up for a bad tank, because you know your coach isn't going to go out there and try to lose. You got a young general manager who's still trying to acquire talent. So the Falcons need Lamar Jackson more than any team outside the Ravens. Otherwise, even with all the money that they have, the question marks at quarterback, both where they stand in the draft and the free agent options out there, the Falcons, they better think something out quick. They better figure out something successful. Otherwise, the Falcons are going to be bad again.